Hello, friends. Hello, everybody. Today is the first day of Black History Month, February 1st, 2024. I'm going to present a different take on Black History Month and what it means and a brief history on how it came to be. I just want to preface start by saying that in elementary school, Black History Month was a fun time for us. I went to an inner city school with predominantly Black teachers, Black administrators, Black staff. And Black History Month was not only just learning about the inventors and scientists and pioneer and judges and of and doctors. It was also an event for celebration. Visitors would come, dance companies would come. I remember one trip was gonna go. We went to Harlem to go see Alvin Ailey show. It was stuff like that. It was um shows and plays, and it was just it was a time. It was a time, and it wasn't just only getting the knowledge and making sure we don't forget about these people. It was also an event. It was a month-long event. It was fun, lots of colors, lots of coloring, movies. Yes, they did show us Roots, and Amistad, but we also and The Color Purple. But we also saw fun stuff, so yeah. So I don't know how I feel about it right now, or if it's really necessary in 2024, even if it has if Black History Month even has a level of pretentiousness, just having a history carved out for Black people. Okay, so let's get this up here. All right, Black History Month. Are you for it or are you against it? So the history of Black History Month. Oh, the history of Black History Month. The celebration of BHM, of course, Black History Month, began as Negro History Week, which was created in 1926 by Carver G. Woodson, an African American historian, scholar, educator, and publisher. In 1976, the week was extended to a month. Now, I don't know if you guys have watched my video on how I feel about being called an African American. I don't subscribe to being called an African American because I cannot trace my roots back to Africa. Um, so I go by Black, even though I've heard some people say they don't like to be referred to as Black because Black, by definition, means devoid of color. I don't go that deep. Call me Black or call me Black. People say I'm an American. You can call me Black. I'm a Black. I'm a Black. But I use the term African American because when I was researching Black History Month, where I got my information from, they referred to him as African American. I've never talked to Carter, so I don't know. So I'm just gonna, be respectful and call him that. And it's actually all of my Black History Month time in school. I don't think I was exposed to the fact that it was first Negro History Week. It just always jumped into the 1976 history of it. I don't think I was taught that it was even a thing before that, right? I think it was one of the presidents, whatever. That's where it started for us. Like, it was Black History Month. I didn't know about this week thing, this Negro History Week. Okay, so that's how I got started. All right, so I'm not gonna go into it like everybody has had Black History Month courses in elementary school. We know. So let's go down to the nitty gritty. Um, Recently, Bath and Body Works was blasted because they released a limited edition line in honor of Black History Month that some has criticized as trash, tacky, and an example of culture appropriation by brands during the month-long celebration. Bath and Body Works got their online ass kicking, and the correction was they donated $500,000 to the National Urban League and Columbus Urban League to support civil rights and racial justice, according to the Bath and Body Works website. Now, I take this alike into Pride Week. Is it Pride Week or Pride Month? I think it's Pride Week when I'm gonna use Target because I seen it in Target. Target goes all out rainbow, um, genderless. They put out the genderless bathing suits during Pride Week. They put out the onesies, two moms, two dads. It's a bleh of LGBTQ plus stuff during Pride Week. And do I feel like these big businesses give a fuck? No, I think just like Christmas and Valentine's Day, they hop on the opportunity to market and get people's money, right? So I necessarily do not shop at Bath and Body Works, not because I am above it all, is because pretty much before COVID, a little bit before the pandemic. Yeah, I said pandemic. Before the pandemic, I was becoming apprehensive about going in stores. I did not like it. One thing I hate is to be inconvenienced when spending money, and waiting online and everything had become unattractive for me. Also, I had gotten so big that they really didn't carry my size in stores anymore. They didn't carry my size. So I was shopping online. I was shopping online more, and these businesses were catering to shopping online. And during the pandemic, it was you order online, we'll bring your shit to the car, and I was really enjoying that, and I continue to enjoy that. So although I would frequent Juniper Breeze during my high school years, and Japanese Cherry Blossoms, I had stopped shopping there and was just pretty much grew up and was staying at the lotions that were available at big box stores in bulk, right? So I did not know, I was not aware about this new line of Black History Month stuff at this establishment, but I'm not surprised. And I think it is tacky, and it is performative, and it is pandering, and it's more African based design than it is black. So that goes to show you how far removed from the culture this company is. Okay, so this is in quotes why I don't celebrate Black History Month. And I pulled this off the internet, and this was a quote I saw doing my research, and I really liked it. It is the pretentiousness of the individual's deeds that matters, and not the pigment of their skin. So I understand that argument. I think I'm gonna be Switzerland in this and not choose a side, and not for fear of offending anybody because I don't care. I just can have it with or without salt, if you know what I mean. Okay, so this was on Reddit. This was posted 10 years ago from Change My Ooh, what happened? Sorry. All right, I'm gonna make me small. I believe Black History Month is unnecessary and should not be officially recognized. Now, I don't know if this person changed my view is white or black. I didn't read this, and we're reading it together. So I don't know if this person is white or black, but let's read it together and we'll discuss. There is no denying the contributions and sacrifices Black people have made to building society in the countries that celebrate Black History Month. So already I know he's not American, or she. Sounds like a he. However, Black people are and have been for a while subject to exactly the same laws as all other nationalities. This person is white. I'm not saying that their troubles that there, so he's not saying ours. This is a white person. I'm thinking white male. I'm not saying that their troublesome past should not be taught. I simply believe that elevating a race and celebrating their achievements for a period of time, no matter what they have went through in the past, is unfair in a society that supposedly perpetuates all races as equal. I like the supposedly, sir. I like that. Kudos to you. Let's identify the hypocrisy of it all. I would take my argument further and say that any race specific service specific services, with the exception of those that provide a psychological service, health, beauty, etc., should be illegal as they further serve to segregate that race. However, a side note and the main point of discussion is Black History Month. Okay, we're not talking about that. I agree. I guess he wrote an edit after he posted. I agree. All those who suggest that Black History Month teaches us about a culture and history that otherwise largely overshadowed by an education focused on European and American matters. However, my trifle, my trife with this is that it is not a multicultural event. It is a sole focus on Black people. Why not expand to other ethnicities? Okay, so I'm already saying that, thinking that this person is not American because we do have a Hispanic month and an Asian Pacific Islander month. So I think they're unaware. Let's get me out of here so we could read this. Edit 2. I've been introduced to the fact that other months for other ethnicities actually exist. Oh, I just said that. Okay, so here's the second edit because people probably said the same thing I said. While they seem to be relatively humble in their celebration and focus, especially in the UK. See, I knew he wasn't American. Considering this is a social arrangement, my opinion is gradually being swayed. All right, open to learning. All right, open to learning. I like that. Look at him. I like him. Let's be friends. Join me on Facebook, aired Facebook/aired static. All right, so this light-skinned man wrote an article for the Arizona Republic, and I like it. I don't necessarily agree, but it is in the perspective of him being a Black man. So he wrote an article, Why, as a Black man, I have always hated Black History Month. Always hated. That's strong. Hate is such a strong word. Oh my God. Going through the slides too fast. All right, let's get me out of here. Okay. We can make this bigger. Yes, we can. Okay. Black empowerment gets twisted into hatred and fear. So basically, I read his article, and here is the aired static cliff notes based on what I read. Some are snippets, some are, most is not. Okay. The italicized portion is directly from his article. I like to give credit, and I put the link of where I got the article from if you guys want to read it yourself. Black History Month says that you can learn about the founding fathers, but you'll never know about the Black men and women who built the seats of power upon which they sat. Former First Lady Michelle Obama said at the Democratic National Convention in 2016 that she wakes up, and I quote, every morning in a house that was built by slaves. The statement was considered so controversial that news organizations started tripping over one another to write fact check pieces. Now, I was there in 2016. I didn't watch the DNC, but I remember the quote because it was all over the news. All over the news. And when I went to work, now at that time I had worked at an establishment that was primarily staffed by Blacks, and we knew that. If you went to any a Black urban school, you were taught that the slaves built the White House. I knew the slaves built the White House. They knew the slaves built the White House. But I think it was a shock to many who maybe went to suburban schools or who are of the white, hail from the Caucasus Mountains, who were not necessarily taught that the slaves built the White House, as far as their Black History Month studies. So this was pulled from Greg's article. And for the record, the White House Historical Association says on its website that enslaved people were involved in every aspect of White House construction, from the quarrying of stones to the cutting of timber to the production of bricks to the physical labor of assembling its roofs and walls. Enslaved people worked as axemen, stone cutters, carpenters, brick makers, sawers, and laborers throughout each stage of construction from 1792 through 1800. Now, I knew that because, like I said, my school was this was an event. Black History Month was an event. And it was elementary school watered down version. It didn't get to the nitty gritty of how bad Black people were treated, except for the annual watching of Roots, which I had a very Afrocentric fourth grade teacher who said, I think them watching Roots one time was enough. And she didn't have us watch Roots. Instead, we watched The Color Purple, which has its own stuff going on. But I'd rather watch The Color Purple than watch Roots. All right, next slide. All righty. Am I back on here? Do y'all want to see me? Damn, my phone ringing. All right, get me out of here. All right. This I took from his article and I put my own zhuzh into it, so to say. I put my own zhuzh. We lump the same Black faces together. Timelines aren't emphasized. And that is one criticism that I have, because although we learned about these people, if you don't know any better, you would seem like all of these people were around at the same time, except for Harriet Tubman. Um, I thought for a long time, and I'll get to this point, that certain civil rights activists were all around the same time, and they were not. Some of them were half a century apart from each other. But let's read. Black History Month compresses hundreds of years of history into a short month. It does. We are taught to remember the likes of George Washington Carver. He was the Peanut Man. W.E.B. Du Bois, the author. Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad, etc., etc. You guys know the greats, the BHM greats. They are important to remember, but not important enough to contextualize or put them in a larger conversation about American history in its totality. And I completely agree with that sentiment. We are taught about them and they are in a box, and we are taught about their contribution to pretty much the Black race and how they have helped the Black race, but we are not speaking about how their contributions helped America as a whole, except for when you talk about the science-based Black History Month greats, the heart surgeon, and even when they talk about George Latimer and the filament, it's still, niggas and whites use light bulbs, but somehow it's still like the filament is still just a Black thing, and it is not, right? That's just the feeling in the air that I get from my Black History Month studies. And also Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King, even though they live 50 years apart, they are taught together. It's Frederick Douglass, MLK, and Malcolm X. They are taught together, when it would be more appropriate for Frederick Douglass to be taught alongside Abraham Lincoln, as they were contemporaries. I didn't know that Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln were of the same era. So it would be nice to be taught, while we're being taught about Abraham Lincoln, to also be taught about Frederick Douglass, not to be taught about Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King together. They were 50 years apart. 50 years is a lifetime, pretty much. Okay. Why is it even necessary to have a Black History Month? Okay, let me put my ticker on. Y'all ain't gonna get me. Fair Use Act. Okay, this is an educational show. Why is it even necessary to have a Black History Month? Because they also deny the existence of white privilege, and they ask us, why don't all lives matter? We know that some people will never understand that if there is a Black History Month, that means it must be situated in a white history year. And that if a white questioner and I are both 43, then I will have 43 months of knowledge to his 473. Do you understand? Let's read that again. We know that some people will never understand that if there is a Black History Month, that means it must be situated in a white history year. and that if a white questioner and I are both 43, then I will have 43 months of knowledge to his 473, which means he gets 11 months out of the year and I get one, because we are taught American history is white history. And the need for Black History Month is because we are taught American history is white history. Um, the author of this article had a similar situation, but I did as well. And I remember there was a time that something happened at a BET Awards that made BET hit mainstream news. And I was in high school. So all the niggas knew about BET. But something had happened and I don't remember because I went to high school in the early 2000s. I'm an old broad. But I remember it something happened at the BET Awards that hit mainstream news. The first time I heard the question was from a white person. I was in high school questioning the whole BET, which means Black Entertainment Television channel, and asked why there wasn't a white entertainment television channel. And yes, they said it in jest. And of course, the appropriate response being all channels are white entertainment television. We have to have a BET because of the WET and lack of representation. Except um TGIF shows, and was it Fox that was pretty much Fox is Fox because of all of the Black programming they had that boost them up. I think it was Living Color, Martin, um, Homeboys in Outer Space. I could do another show on how Fox is where it is because of Black television and Black programming, but that's another video for another day. I believe at the time, so let's talk about how I feel about this. I believe at the time it was necessary to have a Black History Month because American education system was incredibly whitewashed and access to information was either illegal to get or difficult to get. Therefore, the necessity to make sure these people were not forgotten was important. Now we are in 2024. We have information literally sitting in our pockets. I have access to the world and space beyond with a cell phone. So I understand the necessity to have it at the time. Let's just say that. Okay, let's go into this bigger conversation on white privilege. Let's get me out of here so you guys could see. As for white privilege, I can understand why blue collar and even no collar white people, aka trailer trash, that's what they call them, right? Think that their race has not granted them any particular benefits. They look around and see poverty and a drug epidemic and joblessness and hopelessness, and they want to know where in that existence could there be privilege. I understand that. But let's be clear. Even the poorest of white men still has the privilege when they are not under the restraints of poverty. Because poverty in this country now is the great equalizer. I would hope that they are listening when I say that I hear them and that I understand as much as I can, not have not having been able to walk a mile in their shoes. I would also hope that they can understand that while they have countless problems, being white isn't one of them, and that is the privilege. Now, I got that directly from the article. And like I said before, even the poorest of the whites are doing better than the blacks as far as privilege and access and opportunity and safety. They've never been denied access to their building at work, and had to wonder whether it was because of the color of their skin. Now, if they have been denied access to work, it wasn't because they were white. It probably was because they were poor and dirty, or been pulled over and had to wonder whether it was because the color of their skin. They were just pulled over for expired tags, DUIs, broken tail light, but never DWB, driving while black, or been questioned about their qualifications. Personal story: I have been questioned about my qualifications and a degree for a job that requires a high school diploma. That is the minimum requirements. But yet I was questioned about higher degrees and why I could speak the way I speak. And I was going to proudly pull out my receipts. And my boss said, pretty much in a nice professional way, that's none of your business. But I was ready. I got this, I got this, I got this. And she was like, that's none of your business. She said, you say it in a professional way, but I was ready. So, but nobody else was questioned about their qualifications, and just me, because I'm a learned nigga. And when I use big words, people get intimidated when they are of the clear persuasion, which have been impeccable. That's me. That's me. And had to wonder whether it was because the color of their skin. Now, I'm a black female, I'm a double negative, but there were other women in the room and they weren't questioned, so I knew the only difference between me and them was that I'm black. And although I don't know why this man questioned me, whether it was because what I was saying on my presentation or whatever, I did have a tickling and inkling in the back of my head. Are you questioning me because you don't have access to educated black people and you've never been talked to this way? Or is it because you have this curiosity? Or was it because I'm black? I will never know, because I live in New York and the racism is not in your face like it is in the South. It is full of microaggressions and whispers behind your back, but nobody will ever say it to your face, which is a level of appreciation I have, um, because I'm about that life and they're not. All right, next slide. This is a fun one. All lives matter, or all lives should matter, but they still don't. Okay? They should matter, right? All lives should matter. All men are created equal in this country. It should matter, but come on, it doesn't. Just like that Reddit post said, we should have the same access to equality. That's what they say, but we all know we don't. As for all lives matter, exactly. That's the point. All lives should matter equally, but clearly they have not and they still don't. And the reality that Black people feel the need to say that their lives matter means that they don't. And that is the crux of the whole movement. That we have to say it means we don't feel like our lives matter. And that's the problem. Not for somebody to come and say, all lives matter, all lives matter. No, the fact that Black people have to announce it because we don't feel it is a problem. At least to white people who would gladly deny the relevance of Black lives, such as those who shot at a memorial marker of the birthplace of Jackie Robinson, or those who flew a Confederate flag while storming the U.S. Capitol, which slaves also built. I'm gonna do another video on the white people and their obsession to the Confederate flag and saying that it's part of the South. That's another video. Put the train back on the track. Black lives also clearly are irrelevant to those who see all this and remain silent. And this silent majority is far, far worse because it condones the violence and the potential for violence that I live with even during Black History Month, which as a Black, I hate. This is from Homeboy here, and he wrote, I always have. And if you don't understand what he's pretty much saying Black History Month and the teachings and and us remembering these things should have had an impact in this country to where we don't have to scream Black Lives Matter, but we still do. So this is all for naught. And maybe we shouldn't separate ourselves from the other 11 months and correctly integrate these people into the appropriate timelines in history class. So we should, when we learn about Abraham Lincoln, we should also be learning about Frederick Douglass. We shouldn't only be learning about Abraham Lincoln and then February comes and we're learning about Frederick Douglass. So I think from my understanding in this article is let's just incorporate Black history into American history. So I feel no ways tied about it because I'm a realist and I know that there will be a level of us as Black people in our history being lost if we don't put a spotlight on it. And maybe the spotlight is the penance that America has to pay for the atrocities that they have inflicted upon Black people. So now every February you have to be adorned with this kind of stuff like my backdrop or Black History Month lotions and body sprays. Because one thing we don't know how to do is correct. What we do know how to do is overcorrect and pander. Pander. How do you feel about Black History Month? I'm not going to sign any waivers for my kids not to observe in their school. Whatever projects they have, whatever readings they have, I will do it. I am a Black person. I don't think it's hurting anything, but I would like to in the pretentiousness of my Blackness, I would appreciate these studies being incorporated into social studies and history and maybe have Black History Month focused on the artistic parts of our contributions and maybe not necessarily the civil rights or getting equal treatment part because that should just be taught off the bat to throughout the year. Throughout the year that should be taught. And maybe this month we focus on the Alvin Ailey's and the Serena Williamses and the rappers and the artists and the Basquiat's. Was he American or was he French? I don't know. He was screwing Madonna, so he was here. That kind of stuff. So let me know how you guys feel about it. I'm okay either way. You want to take it away, you want to take it away. I don't think it's something that will take away. It's pretty much tradition at this point. You have something that's been from 1926 and 1976. It is tradition. It's not going anywhere. It's written into our educational system unless Florida takes it out, which they'll probably be the first ones to take it out. All right, everybody, enjoy, and I will be back and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.